When dashboards become the work. A calendar fills with status meetings, while a dashboard fills with green boxes. Yet the backlog stays the same. Notifications multiply, and the work becomes explaining the work. Visibility replaces effectiveness when dashboards become the cheapest path to being judged competent. Measurement is a tool, but it is also a constraint. Only what can be counted, compared, and reviewed inside the reporting window gets treated as real. A system that relies on dashboards must compress complex outcomes into simple signals. Tickets closed, response times, hours logged, checklists completed, approvals obtained. That compression is not neutral. It selects what can survive translation. The first mechanism is incentives. When competence is evaluated through performance signals, people optimize for the signal because the signal controls access to resources, to trust, to autonomy, to promotion, to permission to proceed. The incentive is not merely personal ambition, it is the structural need to avoid being flagged. In such systems, a green indicator is a passport and a red indicator is a tax. Then a feedback loop forms. Leaders ask for updates to reduce uncertainty. Teams respond by increasing reporting to reduce scrutiny. Increased reporting produces more data. More data creates the appearance that the system is measurable and therefore governable. That appearance increases appetite for more measurement. The loop is self-reinforcing. The more the dashboard is used, the more it becomes the definition of reality. A second mechanism is the trade-off between legibility and effectiveness. Legibility is the ability to explain progress to someone not present in the work. Effectiveness is the ability to produce durable outcomes under messy conditions. These are related but not identical. As legibility rises, time and attention shift toward making work reportable, writing updates, splitting tasks into countable units, selecting projects that yield clean metrics, avoiding ambiguous work that cannot be proven quickly. The trade-off is often hidden because reporting feels like coordination. But a system can be highly coordinated around the wrong proxy. Consider a generic service team with a metric for tickets resolved per day. The constraint is time. Only so many hours exist, and only so many problems can be understood deeply. If resolved means closed, the incentive is to close. A common failure mode follows. Complex issues are fragmented into smaller tickets to increase count, or prematurely close with follow-up shifted elsewhere. The dashboard improves. The user experience does not. The measurement has not lied. It has been treated as the goal. Or consider a project group with a checklist of approvals. The constraint is uncertainty. Early work is exploratory, and outcomes are not yet stable. If approvals are required at fixed gates, the incentive becomes producing documents that satisfy gatekeepers rather than learning what is true. The feedback loop is subtle. The more approvals are requested, the more teams learn to draft to expectation, and the less the system receives information that would challenge the plan. Visibility rises, but effectiveness declines because reality has been filtered. Dashboards tend to win because they lower the cost of supervision. They create comparability. They allow decisions at a distance. In exchange, they impose a tax on unmeasured work, relationship repair, careful review, mentorship, patient debugging, and long-horizon prevention. These forms of labor often matter most, yet they are hard to compress into a weekly chart. When the system cannot see them, it tends to treat them as optional or as personal preference, rather than as production. So the shift happens at a specific point, when the easiest way to survive evaluation is to produce convincing evidence, not durable results. At that point, the dashboard is no longer a window onto the work. It is the work's governing surface. The proxy becomes the product. This is not merely a technical problem. It is a question about values encoded into attention. What receives measurement receives time. What receives time becomes identity. If competence is equated with visible activity, updates sent, checklist checked, graphs rising, then responsibility subtly migrates from outcomes to appearances. People learn that their safest contribution is legible motion. Meaning erodes through second-order effects. When attention is spent on being seen, less attention remains for noticing what is fragile, what is misunderstood, what is quietly failing. The system may still feel busy and accountable, but accountability becomes procedural. I reported, therefore I did my part. In that frame, the human relationship to work is narrowed. It becomes less about stewardship of results and more about compliance with representations. The cost is shared. Leaders receive cleaner numbers but poorer truth. Teams receive clearer expectations but weaker agency. The organization receives more predictability in the short term and more brittleness over time. Visibility is not the enemy. Unexamined visibility is. A metric is a statement of what the system is willing to ignore. Consider naming one dashboard, one weekly update, or one checklist that functions as a proxy for competence in your environment. Examine what it makes easy to prove, what it makes hard to notice, and what kind of person it rewards you for becoming. When the chart becomes the standard of truth, effectiveness becomes a side effect. The system behaves as designed.